Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and welcome to our Working From Home webinar series from Aculon. This is our fifth in our Working From Home series, and today we are going to be asking the experts. My name is Edward Hughes. I'm the CEO of Aculon, and I'm joined with me today with an expert panel, Dr. Eric Bruner, who's the president and founder of Aculon, Dr. Eric Hanson, who's been our vice president of technology from the beginning, and Mara Gattuso, who has seen a lot of different material applications as a senior business development manager. A couple of quick logistics before we get into the presentation and Q&A. I'm going to take maybe a little less than this, maybe 10 minutes to give an overview, and hopefully leave about 20 minutes left for questions from the audience. This webinar will be recorded. We will be sending an email link to all the registrants, so you can download the PDF, you can listen to the recording. This webinar, like our other webinars, will be posted on our website, so the information will be readily available to you. Today we are going to be doing in a more interactive format. Our experts are going to be addressing your questions, and so what we want you to do is basically have questions and comments, and please utilize the questions section of the GoToMeeting panel. So I'm going to be going through those questions as we kind of get going into that part of the presentation. But let me start by saying, firstly, again, thank you for joining us. I hope everybody is well and safe. This pandemic has obviously caught everybody by surprise. The scope is enormous, the speed is incredibly fast, and what's at stake is just crazy. So this has been a very challenging time. I'm sure, like many of you on the listening in, people are working from home. About 40% of our company is working from home. And it's been great to see people's ability to adapt and to continue to push forward and continue to work. And so we've thought we'd put this webinar series together to take advantage of the fact that some people may have some time and want to listen and continue to learn about what's going on in surface modification. Aculon as a company is an essential company. We are a supplier to many key industries, and as such, our lab and our production facilities are still in full operation and meeting the demand from customers. But today we want to talk a little bit about some of the surface modification techniques we have, and hopefully they'll be of interest to you, because we want to be there for you when we come out of this. I'm going to give you a quick overview of Aculon, talk about some of the technology platforms, some surface modification options that you may be interested in, and then we're going to spend the majority of the time doing Q&A. So again, please send your questions or put your questions into the question box, and then I'll wrap up with just a couple of slides at the end. Aculon's goal is to enable customers to make better products. We do this by being innovative, responsive, and fast developer and producer of best-in-class surface modification technologies. Our philosophy is, together, we create winning products. We are involved in many different industries, as you can see by this collage here, whether it's oil and gas, whether it's consumer electronics, whether it's the optical space, medical devices. It's a lot of different areas that we touch. And as a company, we were founded back in 2004 with the purpose of really developing our expertise to produce surface solutions such that we can modify a broad variety of surfaces, whether it's metals, glass, polymers. We provide basically functionality to those surfaces depending on what the customer is looking to do. It could be hydrophobic, it could be super hydrophobic, or oleophobic, hydrophilic, anti-fingerprinting, or even adhesion promotion. And our treatments are all very thin. They're easy to apply. We don't use any vacuum chambers. Often no cure is required, so it's very fast. They're safe, they're non-toxic, and we offer a number of green options as well. We like to think we differentiate ourselves not only by coming up with and developing proprietary innovative treatments, but also having a willingness to work with customers to solve problems. We understand some of these problems are challenging and it takes time, and we are willing to work with you to help solve those issues. As a business, we have 4 areas where we focus on: electronics, oil and gas, specialty, and that includes our medical area. Our business model is we produce chemistry and we treat parts. So what we do is we have a lab operations that basically helps treat and test parts to get parts qualified, and then we produce the chemistry and sell the chemistry to our customers for application in their facilities. We have over 35 patents granted. We've worked on thousands of applications and invested hundreds of thousands of hours on surface modification. We have over 100 products, and our people are smart. They're numerous chemists with PhDs, master's degrees, electrical and mechanical engineers. We are headquartered in San Diego, California. That's where we have our lab and our manufacturing operations as well. And we have offices in Shanghai, Singapore, Dallas, Amsterdam, and a pretty broad distributed network, particularly in Asia. So why surfaces? Why do surfaces matter? Why is it that we're building a whole business around that? Well, we find that interaction with surfaces can create problems. And so here's an example of 10 fairly common problems that people see. It could be as simple as a functional issue due to a liquid behavior on a surface. It could be that cleaning that surface is time consuming or expensive or even impossible. It could be the surface is getting contaminated with things like fingerprints that degrades the aesthetic behavior of the surface. It could be that the water or oil droplets impede optical performance. It could be that adhesive materials stick to the surface. Maybe the surface is not lubricious enough for the application you're looking for. The wettability of the surface may not be ideal, or wettability of your powder. The adhesion between a substrate and an adhesive is poor and needs a boost. It could be exposure to water results in electronics failures. And it could be that you need a physical barrier to prevent liquid flow, but that's not possible. So all these are surface-related issues. So when the company started with basically licensing some technology from Princeton University regarding self-assembled monolayers of phosphonates, SAMP. This is a very thin, less than 5 nanometer treatment comprised of a phosphonic acid and a repellent carbon-based molecule. And that's been a very good basis for starting this business because it's been very flexible, been very versatile. We've been able to do a lot of this technology development where basically we are bonding into the oxide layer and functionalizing the R group depending on what people are looking to do. From that platform, we have diversified and built a series of modification platforms over the years as customers have been requesting issues or explaining they have an issue with this particular surface. So we've built a series of technology platforms. And what we do now when you work with our technology people is basically, we try to understand what it is you're trying to modify, whether it's a metal or oxide containing surfaces, and do you want repellency, do you want adhesion, do you want hydrophilic, and we'll look at the suite of technologies we have. We also work on some polymeric surfaces, and again, we're looking at whether it's repellency or whether we can provide hydrophilics. So we like to work with customers and people tell us what the issue they're dealing with, and then we provide a suite of technologies around that. And so we've built these platforms, whether it's hydrophobic or adhesion or water protection, oleophobic, particle treatment or anti-fingerprinting to help solve these issues. And let me just explain briefly what these are before we get into the Q&A. So a hydrophobic treatment is designed to basically reduce the surface energy and repel the water. Right, so you're looking at here at a water droplet that's got a contact angle of over 100 degrees, or if you're looking for super hydrophobic, over 120 degrees. These treatments are very thin, they're optically clear, they don't change the appearance of the surface, and can be applied to many different substrates. Similarly, oleophobic here, you're basically looking to reduce the contamination caused by oils or grease or other materials. And here we can modify a surface so the contact angles will be over 60 degrees. They're very thin, they're optically clear, and can be modify a variety of surfaces. When we talk about adhesion promotion, we talk about what we're trying to do here is basically improve the adhesive and bonding characteristics of an oxide containing surface. So we are basically functionalizing that surface directly to reduce the amount of delamination or any adhesive failure. And this can be used in replacement for some technologies which will traditionally roughen the surface to get better mechanical keying effect to promote adhesion here. And this can work on a pretty broad variety of oxide-based surfaces. When we talk about hydrophilic, you can see in the photograph here on the right-hand side, an untreated water droplets will just basically sit on a surface, whereas a treated hydrophilic surface, the water wets out. It may wet out at less than 10-degree contact angle and will spread uniformly across that surface. Again, these are optically clear, they're thin treatments, and durability, it really depends on the application. And finally, particle treatments. Again, we're looking to modify the surface energy here to basically get the desired performance on these particles. And these are liquid-based treatments that basically treat bulk particles. It's an easy and scalable process, and we functionalize those particles to achieve the desired properties of what the customer is looking for. So let me now turn and start looking at our Q&A. So make sure I've got everybody. Okay, so I'm going to start with, unmute these guys. And Eric Bruner, I'm going to start with you. I think you're on mute still. So Eric Bruner, so you started the company and had a vision for a surface modification company. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you were thinking and your vision.
Well, thank you, Edward, and thank you to all that are listening in and interested in our technology. Yeah, the vision was basically to create surface coatings and platforms of technology that could help solve problems for customers. There's a lot of surface issues out there, whether they're repellency or just interfacial adhesion issues, but the main vision was to basically create surface chemistry to help customers solve problems in a fast and easy way.
Okay, great. And Eric Hanson, as the head of technology, you've looked at thousands of surfaces and applications in the last 16 years. You're arguably one of the best surface chemists in the world. Why are so many companies worried about surfaces?
Well, thanks. I don't know about all that. It's simple. Surfaces are everywhere. A lot of the interactions on a daily basis, either someone's life or at their work, that you're interacting with surfaces so much. So it just falls to reason that when people have problems, a lot of times they're surface related.
Okay. All right. And Eric Bruner, you play kind of a key role at Aculon where you connect the dots between technology and applications. How do you do that? What's your thought process, and what are the keys to success of that?
Probably the first key is just listening to the customer, understanding what the problem is, what they're trying to solve. And then the next step is really to see whether we have something off the shelf that can be readily applied and potentially solve the issue, or at least understanding whether we're close to getting there, and then listening again, understanding why the treatment did or did not pass the test, and continuing to be able to innovate to make sure that we can provide a technology that solves the issue.
Okay, great. And Eric Hanson, you've got, we have over 35 patents as a company. Many of them are yours. How do you keep innovating? What are you looking to do, and how do you do it?
I'm not sure I have a short answer, but I'll give you the answer. It's a combination of a lot of things. I've sort of always been a naturally curious person, and have a passion for science, and decided to make a career out of it. And hard work and persistence pay off in a lot of different things, whether you learn to play guitar or interested in chemistry, and then I also was really lucky to have a lot of mentors who actually cared about me, as a person and took care of me along the way. And then now I work for a company that supports innovation, so it's kind of all that put together really fosters that that kind of development.
Okay, cool. And let me ask you, Eric Hanson, you've got a pretty wide variety of surface modification technologies. I gave just a very brief overview of them. How do you go about thinking where to start when a new application comes in?
I just asked tons of questions, and keep an open mind, even if the customer tells me something that they think is the problem. I just try to really understand what may be at the core of the issues that they're facing, and then you just start simply and just isolate variables, just standard scientific method. You just sort of slowly work your way through the problem, and then pick and choose chemistry based upon your observations.
Okay, all right. And Eric, Bruner, you spend a lot of time talking to customers. Where do you see the largest kind of growing demand for surface modification in the next 10 years?
That's a great question. I mean, most of our business has been built on repellency. I think that'll continue to grow. I think, there's a lot of areas in the medical space which are, important, and I think that those are going to be part of our growth. Most of our business is in, like the electronics area. We're a fast company. We innovate quickly, and when companies come to us with problems, we can be pretty versatile with the various platform technologies we have. So, I think it'll be probably a combination of electronics and medical.
Okay, great. And please keep typing in your questions. So as we go, so I've got one. Odor and possible health issues are customer concerns I often encounter. What is the best way to address customers' concerns, and will you explore alternative solutions of less odor? Eric Hanson, I'm not sure whether that's making a comment that products have odor or whether this is just a general comment, but maybe you can address the concern regarding odor and possible health issues.
Not sure which one this really refers to. The odor that we might get from some of our materials really would be mild, alcohols, that kind of stuff. We try our best to make formulations that are as safe as possible. Really, the greatest danger of anything we make really here is flammability. Even in the R&D side, we try to stay away from sort of nasty chemicals and things like that, things that might actually be dangerous. So we're always trying to make VOC-free options and things like that for our customers.
Okay, great. The question, do you have a metal repellent concentrate that we can dilute per needs? And I'll take that one. So we generally like to give customers the finished solution because that way it's, if your operator's applying it, there's no discretion, there's no doubt that they're going to get the right product. And so if you dilute products too much, sometimes you won't get the effectiveness, and then people will come back to us and say it didn't work. So if you have something specific on that, feel free to email us. You'll be getting an email from after the webinar, and we can discuss this further. So let me go look at the little questions coming in. I'm going to give this one to you, Eric Bruner. Do you have any treatments for orological applications like watch movement parts? I'm assuming that most watch movement parts are metal. So, Eric Bruner, what do you think?
Yeah, we can certainly screen some of the existing metal treatments we have for that application. One of the key advantages of our technology is strong bonding, so we covalently bond to the metal surface, and we have controllable thickness at the nanoscale. So for an application like that, I think we could probably have a few treatments to screen. So I would encourage you to contact Aculon and engage in our lab service, services that we can provide.
Okay. And Eric Hanson's one of the listeners said that he looked at product several years ago for stainless steel sheet metal and wants to know if we have a product for outside a UV exposure that can be used in scale.
Not really, no. UV exposure is pretty extreme. We've really focused our efforts on a lot of applications where monolayers are well used, but they're just not durable enough to be used in an application where you're going to be outside for long periods of time.
Okay. Okay. And we got, it looks like another watch related question. Precision watch components, we need a mirror finish. Are we supplying polishing liquids? And Eric Bruner, you may want to address that.
We don't provide any sort of polishing liquids, but we do have chemistry that can bond to metals and provide, lubricity or repellency, adhesion, or customizable functionality. So once again, I would sort of, if you can send your inquiry into Aculon and provide some specifics of what you need, we can either provide off-the-shelf solutions or look at something else. But yeah, I think for us, metals is a strength. We have a lot of good products that bond very strongly to metals and provide a number of functionalities.
Okay. And there's a question relating to kind of regulations, and give this to you, Eric Bruner, about what are the upcoming restrictions on PFAS materials, and do our hydrophobic, oleophobic coatings contain fluorine, and what's the outlook for those, the future of those coatings?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, our treatments are the ones that we sell commercially are TSCA registered, so they've been through the regulatory review. Most of our treatments are safe and don't have any regulatory issues, so we can address those individually as the applications come up. A lot of our treatments do contain fluorine, and we tend to try to use less than like C6 fluorocarbons, so that they're safe and don't bioaccumulate. So yeah, we can address those issues, but generally our stuff is safe to use and readily available to use for a large variety of industries.
Okay. Eric Hanson, I got a question here. On metals or glass, how can one optimize activation sites? So I'm assuming he's talking about basically prepping the material for the treatment.
Yeah, that sounds like a cleaning question. And honestly, that's probably 98% of the solution. The solutions that we provide a lot of times is just getting the surface properly cleaned and prepared. So we have a variety of different ways to do that, depending on what the part is, or what the chemistry of the material, what it can handle. And we've probably got I'd say a dozen or so different cleaning strategies. But yes, absolutely, depending on what your material is, you want to pick specific cleaning methodologies to not only remove grime and adsorb material, but also increase the amount of bonding sites. Exactly. So you might use a UV ozone activation, for example, in some cases.
Okay. All right. I'll take the next one, which is we provide OEM for coatings if any company would want to set the manufacturing facility in their company. So I'm assuming that question's asking, do we ship the coatings to these the manufacturers to apply? And the answer is yes. That's the vast majority of our business. We ship worldwide coatings. It could be in major contract manufacturers in Asia or in the US, and the coatings are applied at those manufacturing facilities. Okay, Eric Bruner, you mentioned treating powder particle surfaces. Do you also treat bulk plastic pellets with, for example, a super hydrophobic coating?
Yeah, we provide particle and powder treatments. For plastics, I don't know. It would have to depend on what the treatment is and what they need. But it's probably something we can help them with.
Okay. So again, on that, just email us the specifics. Eric Hanson, do we have any cyanide-free treatments for steel?
We don't do a lot of treatments on steel because of its propensity to rust. It has an unstable surface. We could obviously look into some applications for steel, but yeah, nothing we have here contains cyanide.
Right. Okay. And Eric Hanson, another one for you. Do we have any product that's good for titanium nitride surfaces? And what about lead surfaces?
Sorry, the jets were going over. Can you repeat that?
Do we have any product that's good for titanium nitride surfaces and lead surfaces?
Titanium nitride, I think we've done in the past. I mean, like you said, I've probably seen thousands of surfaces, so my memory might not remember them all, but I'm pretty sure we looked at titanium nitride and have modified that in the past. For lead, we've never done lead, but I don't see why we couldn't do lead.
Okay. Mario, I'm going to give you this one. So nanoproof 7, 8.4 parylene replacement. Are they parylene replacements? Are they for electronic conformal coatings? So I think he's asking, does these nanoproof products basically replace parylene or replace conformal coatings? And Mario, maybe see if he's muted. Mario, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Edward. I was trying to talk.
Sorry.
Yes. So the nanoproof line of coatings is designed to offer similar or better protection in some cases than parylene type coatings. Significantly easier to process than doing vacuum deposition, and significantly more cost effective as well. So for applications that don't require some of the specifics of parylene and are solely focused on waterproofing, increasing throughput, and keeping costs down, the nanoproof line of products is an excellent alternative. In fact, a better alternative in many cases than parylene.
Okay, great. Eric Bruner, there's a question. Do we have any treatments to replace gold plating? I don't know if we have to replace gold plating, but we can certainly functionalize gold and other things, but maybe you've got a more in-depth answer.
I'm not sure about replacing gold plating. We need to understand what the gold is there for in the first place. If it's a corrosion resistance, that's one thing. If it's conductivity, I don't know. It's kind of, we have to dig into the details. We don't really have most of what we sell is organic based in solvents that can modify plastics, glass, metals, and in terms of gold replacement, I'm not sure we really have anything, but maybe there's a way that we can help solve the problem. Just be good to know what the actual issue is.
Okay. All right. Eric Hanson, this is a very timely, topical question with the actual crisis going on. Obviously, the coronavirus crisis. Is there any material or chemistry that can prevent the adhesion or growth of microorganisms on surfaces?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of them out there. And we've started work here on developing sort of broad class antiviral, antibacterial based systems, and mostly focused really on matrix chemistry. So what we do here is figure out how to bind things well to surfaces. So we're using our knowledge of organometallic chemistry and other things to be able to bind silver-based, or metal-based, but mainly silver-based antiviral target loads onto surfaces for metals and for plastics. And right now we're just looking for somebody that can help us with the actual testing of the antiviral efficiency.
Okay, great. Eric, Bruner, there's, other than IPA, what other surface prep method would you use for using nanoproof?
A lot of times it can be used as is. There's no necessarily cleaning method needed. Just getting rid of the dust is a good idea. So, you know, either compressed air or nitrogen below cleaning just to remove dust is a good idea. If there's, you know, residual materials that really need to be cleaned, then we've got a number of cleaning partners that have cleaning solutions, as well as some of our own materials in-house. So I guess I would advise the person asking the question to contact us with a little bit more specifics, but most of the time there's not extensive cleaning needed. IPA is a great solvent for removing organics and pretty good for cleaning. Usually that's good enough. Sometimes it's not necessary at all. So, but cleaning is important. So, you know, it's really a process of testing what's necessary.
Okay. That's a question for you, Mario. What is the impact of coating Bluetooth antennas with nanoproof 7, 8, or 12?
So that's an excellent question. So typically when coating an antenna, fluorinated coatings are typically used in the industry. So going with a 7 or 12 series would be as they are fluorinated, would be the ideal first choices, rather than the 8 series, which is a hydrocarbon-based coating. And then they're designed to have minimal impact, but in terms of just how sensitive your electronics are, we would encourage people to coat and then test to see if there is any impact there.
Okay. Another one on the antibacterial question. I'll give it to you, Eric Hanson. Regarding the antibacterial coating, do you have it for silicone-based medical devices besides other substrates?
Yeah, that would definitely be one we'd be interested in looking into, because our chemistry, specifically some of our organometallic-based matrix treatments, would be good for things like silicones.
Okay. Good. All right, the questions keep coming in. All right, Eric Bruner, one about IPA. IPA can't degrease. Any cleaning options for this? So I know we have a number of cleaning options we use for degreasing, so maybe you can just elaborate a bit.
Yeah, sure. It's really substrate dependent, so we need to understand what is the actual surface that we need to clean, and you know, we have a number of different cleaning options. So yeah, I wouldn't want to recommend something specific for a really general question. It's kind of, we have to get into what the substrate is and what's there, what we need to remove, and we've got a lot of different cleaning options. That's you know, what we've learned over 16 years of being in business is cleaning is very important, and we know a lot about it. So more specifics are needed.
And that person just responded with PC polycarbonate, SUS, and aluminum. Eric, Bruner, those.
Yeah, there's chemical and oxidative cleaning options available. Both, so it kind of depends on what our freedoms of operation are. Like what are we allowed to use? Does it need to be a chemical clean, or can we use plasma? Once again, need to dig into details.
Okay, and Eric Hanson, can the antiviral, antibacterial coatings be applied to paper or fabrics?
I haven't tested them yet, but I would think so. See a reason why they couldn't be.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that was a great set of questions. Thank you, everybody, for providing those. I know we're a little bit over time, so let me just wrap up and say a few kind of closing things as we kind of wrap up this webinar. So one of the things that we do, and you saw that in our or heard it in the responses to the questions, is with our lab service business, we go through a process. And so, understanding the customer requirements is key. And a lot of responses from Eric, and Mario was we need more information. So we really need to try and understand what it is you're trying to achieve. If we think we can solve that problem, then we will do a lab service on that, treat some parts, we'll analyze, we'll characterize it. We will obviously send those parts back to customers for testing and for their feedback. Hopefully, this is kind of moving it in the right direction. Sometimes we'll need to go through a couple of different cycles to optimize this. And at the end of it, then we'll have we'll select which treatment and the recommendation for a process, which will include a cleaning step, which is kind of key when you're doing this kind of surface modification, such that you can then take that to your plant for a trial. And if all goes well, we hit the target. So we don't like just throwing coatings out there and saying to go try this and here's 4 or 5 different options, etc. We like to do a bit more of a rigorous process to make sure this works. As you've heard, we've kind of built up a lot of expertise over the years and a bunch of IP, whether it's the 35 patents or the trade secrets or the fact we've tested thousands and thousands of applications. We've got great partnerships, UCSD here in San Diego. We got access to millions of dollars of equipment. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of hours solving these surface-related issues, and we've invested millions of dollars in building capabilities and expertise. There were some questions going through the question about regulatory. We, as a company, want to basically offer environmentally friendly products and follow good sustainable business practices. So I know many of our customers have sustainability goals, and so we are trying to help them by providing options that are VOC exempt, or whether they're PFOA free products, by using eco packaging, by being as efficient as possible on transportation related emissions, and even down to using sustainable and increased energy efficiency at our own facilities. We want to be good citizens of the planet, and we want to obviously help our customers basically achieve their goals as well. So in conclusion, Aculon is a platform technology company that makes customers' products better. We are surface solution experts, and I'm delighted to have the panelists here with me today who are experts in this field. We've got a strong history of working with customers to solve problems. We've got a broad portfolio of products, including many sustainable options. We've got great IP, very good in-house testing capabilities, and a lot of in-house expertise to help you solve that problem. Because if we work together, our objective obviously is to help you make better products. So with that, I want to thank you. I will again remind you that we will be sending out an email to all the registrants with a link to the presentation, as well as a link to the recording of this webinar. I want to wish you all a happy and hopefully safe and healthy rest of the time frame, whether you're working from home or whether you're working from business. Hopefully we'll all get through this soon and life will come back to normal. And if we can help you solve surface related issues, that's what we do. So thank you very much for joining this webinar. We appreciate the time. And with that, I'll be closing the webinar.